Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to The Rose and the Bee, where fiber threads meet fairy tales, where we weave together fiber and fairy tale, enchantment and magic into healing and creativity. Let's bring this story close to our hearts. A story of tiny helpers, unexpected blessings, gratitude, and the kind of quiet enchantment that warms a maker's hands during the coldest nights. This is my winter retelling for you of the Elves and the Shoemaker. Told the way grandmothers whispered stories to their grandchildren when snow pressed softly against the windows and the world felt made of candlelight. Once, in a winter that could be yesterday or 100 years ago, there lived a shoemaker and his wife, kind souls with warm hearts, working hard each day, but finding that each day brought fewer coins their way. Their workshop, small, wooden, and always smelling of leather and fire, stood at the very edge of the village, where the lanterns' lights fade and the forest begins to listen. One cold evening, the shoemaker discovered he had only enough leather left to make one more pair of shoes. But as all makers do, he prepared his pattern, cut his leather, laid everything neatly on the table, and whispered a small hope into the winter night before going to sleep. And when dawn arrived, pale and silver over the frost, there on the table stood the finest pair of shoes he had ever seen. Stitched with care, shaped with joy, as if crafted by moonlight itself. Day after day, night after night, the miracle continued, beautiful shoes appearing from unseen hands. Until one evening, the shoemaker's wife said, "Let's stay awake and see who brings these blessings to us." And so, wrapped in a warm blanket, they stayed up to watch. At midnight, two tiny house elves scampered into the workshop, barefoot, shivering and laughing with delight. They jumped onto the work table and stitched and hammered and stitched and danced with the joy of tiny little spirits who love their craft. The shoemaker and his wife's hearts melted with tenderness. And the wife said, "They've given us everything. We must give something in gratitude to them." So with thankfulness, glowing like firelight, they made the elves tiny clothes, little shirts, little trousers, warm coats, and the smallest, most beautiful shoes imaginable. They left the gifts on the table and hid once more. When the elves found the clothing, they spun and danced and clapped with happiness. They dressed in their new outfits, admired their shining boots, and with joyful hearts slipped away into the winter's night. They never returned after that, but blessings they brought remained with the shoemaker and his wife. Quiet, steady, long-lasting, woven into every stitch they made from then on. And so, my dear friends, makers of magic, that is the winter magic of the hidden helpers, the unseen support that comes when we work from our heart, give sincerely in love, and trust that we are never crafting alone. Thank you so much for listening to this story. If this tale warmed your spirit, please like the video. It tells the algorithm spirits that our enchanted little corner is worth a visit. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the Rose and the Bee Fiber Arts for more stories, magical fiber projects, and cozy creative spells for your everyday life. There is a blog post with this story and a tiny little personal sprinkle of magic, a tiny ritual that you might be interested in doing. And let me know in the comments, what tiny helpers do you feel grateful for this week in your own crafting? What blessings appear quietly like footprints in soft snow? Until next time, my dear friends, may your threads be blessed, may your winters be gentle, and may the hidden helpers smile upon your hands.